How's it going? And welcome to the Bearded Panda Fab Shop. Now, we're going to have a series of videos on our channel that's going to go over carbon fiber specifically. We're going to be going over overlay, both simple and complex, and repair. It's a simple repair and very complex repair. Now, the reason why we want to put out these videos is for those who are trying to get into carbon fibering on the do's and don'ts and the tips and tricks. We're also doing it so we can show you, the viewer, what it takes to do carbon fiber, and also to let the viewer know and our customers know why they should choose BPF to make their repairs and carbon fiber overlay. Now, the reason why carbon fiber repair and overlay can get so expensive is because of the amount of labor hours that are required. Repair can cost very close to, if not just as expensive as the OEM part itself. And here at BPF, we are a little more on the expensive side, but we get just as good as OEM finish, if not better. Now, we work on anything from your motorcycles, helmets, Honda Civics, all the way up to the supercar. We are capable of getting that OEM look on a supercar and make that repair. So, this hood specifically is an Extreme Dimensions hood that's for an Infinity. Now, this one came to us all the way from Austin. We're currently in Houston, so our customer made the drive. Now, he chose to make that drive because he found that BPF put out that great product, and he was having a hard time finding someone who had the knowledge to make the repair locally. Now, this one specifically, he has sentimental value to it. It was involved in an accident. During that accident, the OEM-styled hood pin broke loose because it was just fiberglassed into place, and it caused it to flip back and create more damage. So we're going to fix that for him. Now, here at BPF, we use the same products that are being used during the manufacturing of the part. This one specifically uses a fiberglass shell and a carbon fiber overlay. Now, if it was a 100% carbon fiber part, we would use 100% carbon fiber materials, meaning only the epoxies that are used for high quality carbon fiber repair and only carbon fiber material on top of that OEM part. We guarantee that we stick to that 100% carbon fiber repair. So this one has a fiberglass shell which will need to be repaired using fiberglass. There's a lot of cracks that went through it. And then we're going to go ahead and overlay an entire new piece of carbon fiber because of an extensive damage that's here in this corner. And we're going to show you a close-up. Let's get into it.
The close-up. All right, so there's going to be a lot of different kinds of damage that we're going to overview here. This is your standard breakage of epoxy. Now, if you wanted to only repair that, it is possible. You have to actually sand all this by hand. You don't want to use a power tool because if you're using power tools, you can burn down into the weave and distort or burn a hole through the weave. Now, when you're doing it by hand, you want to take that gel coat down all the way to the fabric until a little bit of fabric is exposed and you can get new epoxy in there. That's how you would repair something like that. Now, there are additional spots that look exactly the same. This is because they took all big hits in that generalized area. You also see deep scratches like this. Now, this can actually be fixed. You would have to sand down this clear gel coat. If you get into the epoxy, apply new epoxy and then clear coat the entire hood to fix these kind of deep scratches. Now, you have more epoxy breakage there, and then here comes the fun part. Bam! You have extensive damage to this section. Now, this has epoxy breakage. The weave did take some abuse, and then you also have carbon fiber weave exposure. So this is more of a cosmetic carbon fiber hood, and you'll see that kind of stuff around. It's very lightweight, not saying anything against that, but you only have one layer of carbon fiber to make the look of the carbon fiber here. The rest is fiberglass underneath, which is not a big deal. A lot of companies do that. Now, whoever put out and manufactured this specific hood, or the technician that did the cutting out of the mold, kind of cut a little crooked in some areas. I'm going to see if I can get that fixed, along with a little bit of neglect. You know, they didn't see a lot of the fine details. Like here, they hit it with the Dremel, and they didn't go back and fix it, repair it, clean it up. Also, there's like a nice lip that wasn't cut. That's just a quick, easy sand, but I know they have to produce a lot of product. So this specific hood is going to get a full new sheet of carbon fibering on it. I haven't told my customer, but I'm going to surprise him with that. So it's a brand new, fresh looking hood, just for choosing BPF and making that travel to get to us. I want to go above and beyond. He was okay with just that looking a little damaged but cleaned up, but I'm going to go above and beyond for this customer. But let's go ahead and look at the bottom side so you can see what we got to do down there. Ugh. The undercarriage, the skeleton area. So there's some damage here. This is where the latch was released and broken out from. If you kind of look at it, all they did was put the mechanism in there and just fiberglassed all around it. So a new mechanism is going to go in. It's going to actually get bolted on the inside and outsides here. So a plate is put in between for that extra strength. You could use hood pins. I don't believe my customer wants to use hood pins. Now there's extra damage in areas like here. So to fix this, I'm going to have to sand and grind some of this away and reapply new fiberglass in there. It's kind of dry, a little brittle, so we're going to definitely touch that up. Before we can even touch the surface with new carbon fiber, we have to make all the repairs to make sure this thing is structurally sound. Now also, I guess during the accident, some of the areas lifted here, and so that has to get either re-glued with panel bond or sanded away and have some new fiberglass put in. The resin from the fiberglass will, believe it or not, hold that very strong once again. So I'm going to see which route I'm going to go. More damage here, so I got to break some of this away to relay some new fiberglass. These screens are going to come out, and I'm debating whether to add new ones for the customer because these have already gotten kind of out of shape, or just keep these and straighten them out and repaint them. But all in all, this is how it looks. They also look like they put some rib nut points so that way they could screw in the factory panel that goes in here. So yeah, it's time to party. Let's get this bad boy started. All right, so step one, reinforce the crack. This is so when you're making the repair on the fiberglass side, there's no movement. This crack went all the way through, front and back. So I want to make sure it doesn't lift or move out of place. And no, this tape isn't what's going to hold it. This is just a process of holding it in place. Feels pretty good there. Going to use your Gorilla glue stick. This is the heavy duty version. Put it on the back of a stick here. And that's just going to kind of help hold it in place. Just got a thin, let's see, thin stick here. And that's just to help prevent move it during the repair. Not that it's going to move a whole lot, but just for that reassurance. All right, next step, fiberglass repair. Now I don't like to use too much Bondo glass unless it's just like a filler, because I like an item like this needs structure repair. And so you want to use your standard 1.5 chopped fiberglass, some resin. It can be general purpose resin or iso resin, and then you want to go and fill all that in. So my biggest deal is just to create that structure. Now I sanded all this with 150 grit and then went with the fine point Dremel to kind of put some grooves into it, so that way the fiberglass has something to hold on to. Okay, so put in the fiberglass. I know it's not pretty yet, but we just wanted to repair the problem areas. Got there, filled it in, compacted the fiberglass and shoved it in. There's the area with the crack. Definitely want to reinforce a larger area. And so that way you get done. Like I said, right now, it looks a little rough. But it's nice and even now. So now we just let it dry. Then next thing is to sand it and smooth it all out. Here it is, all the body work that went into cleaning up not only the factory extreme dimensions, I guess kind of shoddy work, the brake, all repaired with fiberglass and then reshaped and filled in to smooth out and kind of add shape to it as well. And of course, trying to get rid of all the little pinholes. Now, these are things they don't really pay attention to when they ship out this hood. There's like globs of fiberglass and a bunch of other stuff. I reshaped this entire hood pin guard, I guess it is. Cleaned up all the work, reshaped this section. It was poorly cut. Poor thing, man. And so all along the actual skeleton, all that body work was done here, and all the other brakes, which were here. I wish I would have gotten a little more closer ups of the before so you could see the factory, but I'm sure you seeing all this body work kind of explains what all went into it. It goes all the way across. So this is going to go into a primer, a high fill primer, and then it's going to go black again. So just wanted to kind of show you what it looked like and how much body work went into it. All right, here it is with the filler primer. So much smoother than the way Extreme Dimensions had it set out. That's where a lot of the body work was done. So it's very, very smooth. Looks OEM still, like there was no cracks and damage there. Re-drilled the hole. And if you forgot how that sucker looked, I'll put a picture somewhere here in one of these corners to remind you how bad that was shaped. So I made sure to put that back in a proper shape again. Depending on whether he does hood pins or puts another latch here, at least it looks nice when you pop the hood. I didn't care to put the filler primer here because I'm still going to be working in this area. And so there it is. Here's the other broken section. Not sure if you can even tell, but this area also was very lumpy and bumpy from the factory. So we got that cleaned up. There are small little areas that I'd still like to touch up, but I'm not going to stress on those at the moment. It's time to go ahead and move on. So this was one section that broke off. And what I noticed was it's supposed to stay off the surface of that height. Not sure why, but that's the way it's supposed to be. You'd figure that this lip here would sit flush on this section, but it doesn't. They actually put a small little C-shaped fiberglass. I don't know if you can see that in there. Let's see. And so they put this little C-shaped fiberglass in there. And no, let's see, can I come here? And that's what's holding it. So they did one C-shape there, one C-shape here. And then just opposite sections on this side. So what I'm going to do is still utilize those points, put a piece of fiberglass soaked in resin, and so that way it at least reattaches that way. And then I'm going to come back and add a few more pieces, I think, and go from there. Kind of make it a whole lot stronger, give it some more surface area for bonding. So I have my resin. I did dye it black a little bit just to make it easier. Not that it really matters. So I got different sizes. These are to go on the ones that are already there that I need to replace. These are because here, when they cut it at the Extreme Dimensions, they cut it really crooked. So I'm going to patch that up, reshape it. That way when I lay carbon fiber. And these are going to be my new pieces. So what I'm going to do is start it here on this cardboard. And it's going to get messy. So I'm just going to soak it in. from both sides. Usually it'll go all the way through, but I'm just taking that extra caution. I'm gonna lift it and put it right where it broke off. Then take my epoxy and just run over it just to make sure it's got a good hold. Now I'm trying to wipe things off, because why have extra work if I can get it when it's nice and easy? Alright, the next one over here, that one goes on the bottom. Now another way you could have done this was panel glue. I didn't have any in stock right now, so I figured, you know what, fiberglass is also another way to go, because fiberglass loves fiberglass. And it holds on nice and tight. So let's get that in there. I'm gonna work it in. Alright, so like I said, there's only 2 on each side, so let's go to this side now. Now I'm just going to keep doing this. Everything's been cured. There's no pulling on it, so it's got itself nice and sealed. So I'm just going to cut off this extra gapping on some of them, and yeah, like it's solid. Then I still have this corner. I'm going to go ahead and cut it, follow the body line, turn it around, kind of put some filler on it, so that way when it's time to carbon fiber, it's got its nice shape. Now this one I did cut a little shorter, so when I turn it around I can see how much I really need to sand off, so that way I can do the shaping.